Good afternoon, Michael Malice here. Let that be your welcome for the next hour, guys. You're in for a real treat. My brother from another mother, Luke Rudkowski, is here. You can find him at wearechange.org, youtube.com/wearechange. Luke is, I would call you a guerrilla journalist. You have put microphones in the faces of people who don't want to have your microphone in their face, including many of the most malevolent globalists on earth today. We're going to be talking about Epstein because you know more about this than anyone I know. And I was finding out, talking to you over the weekend while you're here in Austin, that I'm violently underinformed about this topic, and I think that is by design, which I'm sure you'll agree with. You gave me this Thai eucalyptus thing to sniff. What does this do?
Clears out your sinuses. It smells really nice.
This is really fun.
Yes,
it smells like tiger balm.
Yeah, when I was in Thailand, everyone was just like smelling that, and I was like, it smells really.
So what I'm really excited to have you here about is I'm going to tell you some news that's going to make you giddy. You have
that just happened now.
That just happened now. We're recording this on Thursday. It's going to air on Wednesday. And this is something I know you care a lot about. Roger Ver is free.
Nice. Awesome. Hell yeah.
We did it.
That's awesome. Who made the decision?
So what do you mean who made the decision?
Like how did the charges, did the charges get dropped? Or?
So he's
That's awesome. Roger's an incredible guy. I remember being friends with Rogers like way back when Bitcoin was still irrelevant. And he was one of the biggest pioneers and financiers of the liberty movement, of the freedom movement. And he has done so much good, amazing charity work behind the scenes that no one even knows about.
No one knows about, right?
Yeah, I mean, he helped me out back in my early days. So I'm incredibly grateful for his freedom because it's been a fight. It was like, okay, after Ross, free Roger. And Roger was fighting for Ross. And now Ross is fighting for Roger. And now, thank goodness, hallelujah.
So he speaks highly of you. I was texting him today.
He's awesome. I love him.
He's amazing. Great. People who don't know, Roger was an early Bitcoin adopter.
Oh, yeah.
He is, I think, I haven't asked him how much he's worth, but I think it's well understood he's a billionaire. This is how nefarious the government works, because you and I were both anarchists, but we can understand the argument. You need taxes to fund the government, and wealthy people can pay more than poor people. I get that argument. It's not hard to understand. And they were like, well, you didn't pay taxes on this Bitcoin you traded. And his point is there was like 10, I'm exaggerating here. There were a few people who had Bitcoin at the time. If I sell it to pay these taxes, it's going to collapse the market. You were like a whale at that point. It's not something that's liquid. Yeah. And so you could see how if they were playing fair, in the framework I just described, it would be like, too bad, pay this fine, whatever. Because at the point of taxes, it's paying the government, paying for poor people have food, people have healthcare. Okay, we get it. No, they said, oh, you mailed in this tax return that we have deemed fraudulent. That's tax fraud. Yeah. That's 30 years. Oh, you mailed it in next year. That's tax fraud. It's another 30 years. Who does that help? How does it help raise money to feed poor kids, which is supposedly the purpose of government? And how is that done in good faith? Yeah. You and I, and everyone listening to this knows, tax fraud is, I set up some scheme, Luke's grandma send me money, and he's going to get whatever. Yeah. The thing never comes, and I got her money, and I get out of Dodge. Yeah. That's what tax fraud is.
Yeah. No. I disagree. Tax fraud is the IRS. No, them stealing the wealth of people.
They call it mail fraud, excuse me. Mail fraud is that. So it sucks you had to pay this amount of money. Someone just tweeted at me, Roger Ver makes me look like a statist, to which I will point out, well, I've never funded the federal government to tunes of tens of millions of dollars. So sorry, Roger.
Yeah. And he's not the only one. There's so many people that they took down. Joby Weeks is another one. Another major kind of supporter of libertarian anarchist ideas, not the lefty anarchists. Don't worry, don't panic, but like the real kind of freedom oriented. I mean, Ron Paul delivered his baby. He's one of my good friends. He's the one that literally took me to Epstein Island, and I wouldn't have gone to Epstein Island. Right after that, government takes him in.
You went back?
No, I went once. I don't think I'm ever gonna get invited, but the government went after him the same way. They're like, oh, Bitcoin's a security and you didn't treat it like a security, but we just declared it afterwards. And it's like, right. you owe us all this money. And he still never really had a court date.
And to add to what Luke was just saying, it was Alexander Hamilton who had said that ex post facto law is a sign of a dictatorship, or I forget how he termed it. Tyranny. I think that was the word at the time. And so again, it wasn't security when he had it. They declare it a security, then retroactively apply those laws. Yeah. That's not how any kind of minarchist government ostensibly is supposed to run. But you and I both know that's going to be common.
And I'm pretty sure Joby and Roger both came to the government. I was like, just tell me what to do.
Right.
Just make it easy on you. Just tell me what you want. whatever.
Shake them down.
Yeah.
Get your money.
Yeah, I'll bend over, just grease it up a little bit. And they're like, nope, we're not going to even do that. It's crazy. It's wild. But I'm so happy he's free.
Yeah.
Because, I think there's a deliberate reason to take down, and I don't want people to be afraid.
What do you mean?
I know there's a deliberate reason to take down the biggest, most powerful players in this industry, and that is to destroy critical thinking, destroy liberty, destroy individuals being able to buck the system, challenge the system. I faced my challenges throughout the years, which are also very kind of crazy and extensive. Last year, IRS came in, took everything. And I'm like, okay, I got to start on over from zero. And I did.
But can we talk about that in a second? So there's two ways to terrorize the population. One is you take out the leader, and then everyone's running around the chicken with head cut off. The other way is you pick off people at random, and then everyone's like, holy crap, I have no idea who's next.
Exactly.
Right? So this is clearly the former. Like, if we take out Bitcoin Jesus, tongue in cheek, like all the disciples, everyone else will be like, okay, they got the big one. Like, I'm on. So tell me about your story with the IRS.
Same with Roger Stone, same with James
That's
O'Keefe.
right. Oh, yeah.
No, this was just a situation where it was like they almost knew exactly how much I had in my bank, and they're like, yeah, you owe us exactly this much.
How were you informed of this?
A letter.
So you get a letter that says, Luke, you owe like,
everything in your bank account.
And then you
now.
look at your bank, you're like, and they say you have like a week to pay it off.
It didn't go into, I believe, collections.
Okay.
Yet.
Okay.
But then it did right just a couple weeks ago, when I was in the middle of like paying it off and paying the extortion and all this other fees and penalties and all this other stuff, which was pretty egregious. But I think, personally, that it was probably politically motivated. I'm not sure of that. You never know, because it's all randomized, and then you're kind of guessing, what did I do? Same with YouTube censorship. I was just with Tim, and he reminded me of stuff that I forgot, and he was like, yeah, I remember when we were hanging out in my basement at my family's house. He was like, I remember you were the first channel ever to be demonetized. No one knew what was going on. And he told me, he was like, I would go on my YouTube channel, and then all the green icons would be
grayed out,
silver.
Oh, silver. Okay.
Gray. And then this never happened to anyone else. And I would go back and I would have to manually make them green. And then people on YouTube would manually go in there and demonetize me every single time. And it's like, this never has happened to anybody. What in the world's going on here? And we were the first type of major like YouTube type of censorship that has happened. That was pretty egregious and pretty confusing, because
there's no communication.
There's
that's how you know it's not being
understanding,
done fairly.
and that's how they create this kind of fear, this panic, this type of self-control. And they understand, I think, deep down, that if you're able to install fear in people, you're able to control them a lot easier. What better way than just to randomly hit people and then to have people thinking that they're next? I remember, I don't know about you, but I remember during the Biden administration, James O'Keefe is a friend that I know. Roger Stone is a friend that I know. They're getting their doors busted down for no reason at all. James O'Keefe still can't find out with this DOJ what exactly is going on here. And I'm looking at my door. I'm like, just any moment now. Any moment they're going to come on in. Right. And I'm preparing my dog, and I'm, telling my people who live with me, I'm like, if this happens, make sure don't do any kind of sudden movements.
But do you know what else is
we took self-defense classes. I'm still doing a lot of the self-defense, tactical training classes. And I'm like, you got to make sure you know what you're doing.
Well, careful about being too self-defensive, because don't give them an excuse to kind of finish the job.
Well, no, one thing, when you do self-defense, you learn when to act and when not to act. So you learn what goes through the minds of a lot of these police officers, especially when you got random people coming at you like this. I work with some police officers that take the training course, and we put them.
Oh my God, your poor dog, Atlas. Oh my God, she was so pretty. Oh no,
she's a very beautiful dog. But we do these scenarios in these situations. I usually play the bad guy, where they're kind of just going about. We have this huge warehouse that we train in, and then like a random person comes up like this. 9 times out of 10, cops shoot them, right? Because they have the protective gear. We have BB guns. We don't have real guns.
It looks like right. Yeah.
And then
because you're aiming, you are literally aiming.
Automatically amped up, like, oh, there's going to be a shooting simulation. Pow, pow, pow. Start shooting innocent people. So that's when you learn, especially when you take tactical training, which I can't advise enough for everyone to take, especially if they're going to be carrying. They need to have personal responsibility.
Yes.
That's the first ethos of being, I would say, an anarchist or a libertarian. Be responsible for yourself. And a lot of people aren't.
My friend Tom Jenny, who was the first person who ever let me hold and shoot a gun. I come from Brooklyn, and this was many years ago. And he said to me, here are the rules. Before you even touch this gun, A, you assume every gun is loaded.
Always.
2, do not point it at anything unless you intend to kill it or shoot it. Make sure the path behind that is clear.
Yep.
And I think there was another one. And basically, I think there's these 4 rules. And if you ignore 2, you're still going to be fine. And he drilled that into my head. He goes, now they understand this. I will let you. It was unloaded. He showed me it was unloaded. But he's like, I still checked myself, even after he handed it to me, like Alec Baldwin should have been.
Yeah.
It is your job to, and everyone listening to this, I'm sure plenty of gun owners know this. You have to, this is not a toy.
Yeah.
You have to assume until it takes 3 seconds. Double check it, because the downside is so much higher than the upside. I'm saving 3 seconds of time.
Exactly. And you always want to make sure that you know what you're going to do in those type of situations,
right.
which many people don't. And that's what I love to do as far as the training, because a lot of these cops are just like amped up. They're like, oh yeah, there's going to be a bad guy. We throw a random innocent guy. But this is so important, because if there is a swatting, which happens, and I've been swatted multiple times.
Hold on.
I lived
there were like 10 right of center influencers who were swatted earlier in this year.
Yeah.
Like including Juanita Broderick, who's like 70.
Which is crazy. But you learn, like, holy cow, these cops are untrained. A lot of them are not professional. A lot of them don't get enough training.
There's no downside for them.
Like, you just got to be like, look, man, like, you got to be calm, cool,
and in
collected.
their defense, broadly speaking, they're going in assuming they're with a guy with an AK or something.
Or they're told hostage situation,
right?
Multiple murders, bloodshed. They're told people are getting murdered, and then they linked it to China. I don't know if you buy that story, but they said that they found the spoof cell tower in New York, and they're blaming it on China. And a lot of these swattings. That's what I said automatically. I'm like, China, really?
You know how I know? Because I think if China did these swattings, the people would actually be gone. I think if China wanted Juanita Broderick taken care of, I don't think this shut any of these people up. It only emboldened them. No. I don't think it accomplished anything. So, and you know what else is funny? Something that's frustrating for me, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts, is politics, and maybe this is a function of social media, I don't know, is increasingly in a perpetual present, where something that happened last week might as well have never happened.
Exactly.
And we're hearing people on the left, or Democrats, I should say, freaking out that Trump is openly musing about arresting Governor Pritzker, Governor Newsom, for defying the federal government. Like, oh my God, how we get to this point? And they're like, but you arrested Trump. And like,
had him facing 700 years in jail. You made him a convicted felon,
right? Like, I understand how you think it's wrong, but to act like we've never seen anything like this is like, but we just did the mugshots in the Oval Office.
You did it to Trump. Like, what did you think was going to happen? It's a pendulum, and that's what I warned about.
Well, you know what they thought was going to happen.
They're the Republicans, like they usually do. They're usually yellow bellies, and they usually roll over very conveniently.
This is the first time in our lifetime that Democrats and I don't want to group in all Democrats, to be fair, are receiving consequences for their malfeasance.
Yes.
And this is why they don't really know what to do. The fact that Luke, you and I kind of have wild-eyed ideas sometimes, but if we sat down a year ago and I don't smoke, but someone smoked a huge bowl and our eyes are bloodshot red, I said, Luke, in a year from now, John Bolton's house is going to be raided and the New York Times is going to be defending it. You'd be like, okay, now
shut up. I'm like, no way. Get out of here. Especially during the Bush years. I was around during the Bush years, and I was very politically activated and motivated there. I was at the first Iraq war protest, right?
Okay,
and even before the war started, people were protesting that. So to be able to be in a position where you would go to me then and be like, John Bolton's going to have his house arrested by a Republican president of the United States.
At the Times will defend it,
and like the corporate media is going to be like, well, the corporate media sold us the war in Iraq and all this other stuff. They always have been in bed with the kind of intelligentsia and the kind of,
to some extent.
I think very large. I think there's a reason. There's also ties to them, like covering up what happened with Mao Zedong.
Oh,
like
sure.
the New York Times did, and what happened in Ukraine.
I
as well,
wrote about that
with
in the White Pill.
Holodomor.
Yes, of course.
So I think that was a great thing that you did. Specifically connecting all the dots on that, which I think is more important than ever, especially now.
Oh yeah, if you'd bothered to read the White Pill, Luke,
I was gonna bullshit you. I'd be like, yeah, that was a great book, but
if you bothered to read it, and if people listening to about to read it, so not only did Walter Duranty, who was the New York Times man in Moscow, cover up the Holodomor, he also attacked Gareth Jones, who uncovered it, and like these people that they're talking about, I've talked to all the top people, blah blah blah. That's not even that. Okay, that is the worst of it. But the coda to this story is many years later, Gareth Jones, who was down his luck, this is like 1951, early 50s, writes to Sulzberger, who was the publisher of the New York Times, I forget which one it was, and he goes, hey, after it was completely uncovered, the Holodomor happened, after no one was doubting that all these millions of Ukrainians were starved, because everyone became a kulak. If you have if you have shoes, you're a kulak.
Yep.
He wrote to the New York Times publisher's like, I'm kind of down on my luck, and the guy cut him a check for the equivalent of half a year's salary for what it was at the time.
Wow.
So don't give me this whole idea. Let's steel man it, right? You know what? We trusted you. You got duped by Stalin. Stalin's a smart guy. We're supposed to be the paper of record. You brought disrepute on us. I get that you had honest intentions, Walter, but we have to go our separate ways. 20 years later, you're like, hey, how's it going? Here's a huge check.
Yep.
Like these people have no guilt
Yeah.
or shame.
Yep. Same with the weapons of mass destruction.
Oh, yeah, of course.
There's no responsibility. There's no accountability. There's
Right.
no people ever being told, hey, you did this. You caused this effect. You need to pay up for your actions, which hurt or killed or maimed people for no reason at all. I mean, that's why I think the Democrats are so allergic to any kind of responsibility. Now that they're actually being held accountable towards their actions, it's a shock to them. I love it. I think Trump isn't going further enough personally.
Well, I mean, that's obviously the case. How he's not going further enough? Because every single one of those Democrats knows that Brett Kavanaugh did not run a train on Julie Swetnick.
Yep.
Right. I can understand something may have happened years ago with the other one or whatever her name is, but you're telling me Avenatti went to jail, but she was completely full of it, and you're all saying he did this. It's like you know why you're doing it, and you've had no consequences for it.
Yeah, it's wild. It's absolutely
and you do it
crazy.
again. Why wouldn't you do it again?
Yeah, and they will unless they get held accountable for it.
Guys, I want to talk to you about Cove Pure. You may have seen this. Utah, Florida recently banned fluoride in their drinking water, and now you can ask yourself, why are they doing this massive U-turn on a chemical that's been pumped into our water for 80 years? Well, maybe because they realize that it's authoritarian. You don't need bureaucrats medicating your water. You need the freedom to choose pure water, and I want to talk to you about Cove Pure. It's a countertop water purifier certified to remove up to 99.9% of impurities. That includes fluoride, but also includes other things like PFAs, which can lead to irregular menstrual cycles and early menopause in women, fertilizer runoff, which can lead to developmental problems in children and increased risks, some types of cancer, and things like antidepressants, hormone disruptors, you name it. So why I like Cove Pure is here in Austin, the water is very iron heavy, to the point where I was getting this orange crust around my faucets. And I realized, if I put a little vinegar on it, it takes it off because it's like almost like a oxide. So I've been using this, and I've been using this also because I got a lot of plants, and plants don't like all those metals in their water. And frankly, I don't like them either. So it's a good way for me to know that the water I'm drinking is clean and pure and not what they decided up in the State House to pump into it. So if you like fluoride, use toothpaste, use mouthwash, but the government has no business forcing it into your water. So don't wait for the government to sort out pure water. Do it yourself. Head to covepure.com/malice. For a limited time, you get $200 off your purchase. That's covepure.com/malice. Get $200 off, covepure.com/malice. Clean drinking water just tastes better and is better for you. It's a win. I spent way too much time watching police body cam videos on YouTube, and some of them are funny, but some of them are absolutely terrifying. And that's why I got another unit of home protection. I don't know if I can mention it on YouTube for my house in case someone breaks in. But that's not where security stops, because that's where Simply Safe comes in. Simply Safe is an AI-powered camera system. They detect threats while they're still outside your house, and they alert real security agents. This is the game changer. The agents take action while the intruder is still outside. They confront the intruder, letting them know they're being watched on camera, that police are on their way, and they even sound a loud siren and trigger a spotlight if needed. It's like in a cartoon. This is great. This is how you stop a crime before it starts. That's real security. Other systems have cameras that let you talk to intruders, but they require you to see the alert yourself. Simply Safe has monitoring agents that have your back, and they talk to intruders even if they aren't there. There are no long-term contracts or hidden fees. You can cancel anytime, and they've been named by U.S. News and World Report as the best home security system for 5 years in a row. Not only that, there's a 60-day money-back guarantee, so you can try it and see the difference for yourself. Look, everyone listening to the show knows the importance of having home security. We talk about it a fair amount on the show and in other mediums, but this is next level stuff. And right now you can save half off by going to simplysafe.com/malice, simplisafe.com/malice, simplysafe.com/malice. What a great solution to a real big problem. Something no one's ever described me as, unfortunately. Let's get back to the show. So something that I want to talk to you about extensively is I was coming in about the Epstein stuff, and this is where I was, and then I talked to you, and then you kind of opened my eyes, and I was kind of...
We had a very fascinating conversation with Tim where we kind of went at it, and like me and Tim always have these type of conversations where we're just screaming at each other all the time. I don't think
it's possible to have a non-screaming conversation with Tim, to be fair.
If he's really passionate about something, it's like, okay, but you just got to learn not to take it personally.
Oh, I don't think it's never personal.
And you know, a lot of the times we're just like, if we're in a car together, we're just screaming at each other. Like, you're wrong. I can't believe you. And
so
like,
here's where I was until I talked to you. I had thought, okay, first of all, no one's going to get caught as a result of this Epstein stuff. I looked at that photo with that girl with Prince. Was that Virginia Guthrie in that photo with Prince Andrew?
Yes.
I look at her.
And Ghislaine Maxwell.
Right. And I look at that photo of someone giving Bill Clinton a massage, and I think to myself, okay, I'd rather be hit by you than by a car. I don't want to be hit by you. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's okay. Yep. But if I look at like 16-year-olds with powerful men, there's no question there's lots of girls in Great Britain who want to sleep with a literal prince who are getting paid. And I compare to like what's happening in the gangs in Rotterdam, where child torture gangs in the hundreds of thousands. I'm like, this is night and day. Yep. Now I thought I couldn't say this because people publicly hear, oh, you're excusing Epstein. I'm like, I'm not excusing Epstein, but 16-year-olds with powerful men is nowhere near. But then you're like, oh, no. It's kids.
Yes.
Like that's
it's
thing.
Babies. It's children.
Okay. So can you break down what we know about the Epstein situation and how do we know it?
Yeah. So multiple accounts from Jean-Luc Bernet, who also was a very prolific child predator. I don't know if this goes on YouTube. I have to be careful with my language, which I will be.
We can bleep things. It's not live.
But he personally bragged about personally providing 1,000 children to Epstein. And there's multiple reports, especially from even individual reporting that I confirmed with air traffic controllers, highlighting how children as young as 9 that they saw. And there's, I think, the case of...
So these are independent eyewitnesses.
Yes, independent eyewitnesses from air traffic control in the islands where Epstein would land his plane in the British Virgin Islands, and then he would just get off his private plane and get in the helicopter. Ghislaine knew how to pilot the helicopter, and they would go from the helicopter to their private island nearby. And there were multiple reports like, there were very young children there. The Jean-Luc Bernet, young children. If you look at Epstein, he had a thing for young women, girls with braces. Even according to the Pam Bondi, he had terabytes of adult content with children that was extremely inappropriate. So there's some influencers right now that are coming out and saying there was no children. I don't know what you're talking about. You're talking about a prolific predator with billions of dollars, literally moved billions of dollars in his bank accounts without any kind of transparency and accountability, clearly above the law, clearly engaged with the former prime minister of Israel, former presidents, multiple reports of very horrible activities. One of the victims that came forward was during the press conference a couple of weeks ago, 14, right? So that's also extremely young.
Yes, of course.
But it gets younger than that. There's no denying that, especially with someone like Epstein, who has the means and ways to do whatever he wants. He's above the law. He's a billionaire, magically, somehow, mysteriously. You're telling me the guy with so many terabytes doesn't. If you look at a lot of these type of predatory behaviors, they build up on them and they get worse and worse and worse and worse.
It's like drug use. You're chasing dragon.
Exactly. So when you're doing that and you have a thing for small children, obviously it gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. So Jean-Luc Bernet, also another individual, high, prolific, powerful individual, also met his demise in a prison where the cameras just mysteriously died in France. And allegedly he self-exited, which obviously he probably didn't. The official version of events here doesn't make any sense at all. And then, of course, there's this story that James O'Keefe broke about 2 weeks ago, highlighting how there was a DOJ member that talked about how there was children being hurt, and Bill Clinton was on the plane, and they knew what was happening in the back of that plane. Then Bongino, the now deputy FBI director, also came out, said he had a friend. He was on that plane. Children were being hurt in the back, and Bill Clinton was there. So obviously,
Wait, okay, let me, because we know we have to use some euphemisms here.
Yeah.
So if I had a friend who said to me, "Hey, I was on this plane and things were being done to kids in the back," I wouldn't be like, "Oh, how are the peanuts?"
Exactly.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
How did Dan Bongino tell this story so matter of factly? I don't understand.
He did it exactly like that. He talked about, I have a friend, I have a source, and I can send you the video if you want.
I sure, but I just don't understand how Dan heard that and didn't do anything about it.
I don't think Dan can do anything about it, right? And I think this is why there's such confusion and letdown over these egregious statements of Patel and Bondi and Bongino telling everyone, case closed, nothing to see here.
Yeah, let's talk about this, because I also said, and I don't think it's that controversial now. I can't tell what the landmines here. I said I thought it was really. I did not think that on his desktop Jeffrey Epstein has like client list.doc.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
And so right, and everyone's like, yeah, obviously. But then it's like, then why did Pam Bondi say I have the list that's on my desk? And later she's like, oh, when I said list, I meant files. It's like, but you said list.
Yeah.
So like that doesn't make sense to me either. What's going on there?
Exactly. We could only guess.
Okay.
Because we do not know. But you don't need a client list. You could also have his financial transactions.
That's
and
right.
His records.
Yes.
Like, okay, where's the money moving in and out of?
Yeah.
Who's paying him? How does he have $1 billion out of nowhere without any kind of accounting or regulatory body flagging it? And the big banks had to even pay some of the victims because they were skirting all the rules and regulations that everyone else has to follow. And they were allowing him to move over $1 billion with a B. Not a million, would it be?
And I think the law is it's either 5 or 10. If you move $5,000 or $10,000, it's flagged.
Exactly.
Right. So if you're going to mail someone a gift, like it has to be 499, whatever it is, the number is. So there's no question that if you're moving billions, like the flags are going up all over the computers.
Yep. And those questions were settled out of court, and the big banks just settled with some of the victims, and they bought them off. That's the big kind of glaring aspect of this. But we do have the government has the financial records. Like, we could find out what was going on. I think it's worthy to find out what was going on. And I think for me, I know Tim has his own kind of argument. We just rehashed it. We just did another show where we went at it again, this time less screaming.
Okay.
Because we talked about it on the show as well. But MTG made a statement today. She was on CNN and she talked about how the discharge petition to release this list probably is going to pass.
Okay.
And when it does, it's going to force the Trump administration's hand on this. And they have been handling it very badly.
Okay, yes.
And this is only making it just that much worse for them. And they're giving the Democrats and the liberals easy layups politically to take against them, which makes us kind of wonder what in the world is really going on here. And I think anyone's guess is as good as anyone's because we do not know. We do not have any evidence.
I don't think anyone's guess is as good as anyone's because I think you've been on top of this. So you're a lot more informed than the layman, certainly more informed than I was on this issue. Something that's another thing that is kind of been in the background of all this. People don't realize this, and it's not a secret. It's complete common knowledge. Dennis Hastert, who has been the longest serving Republican Speaker of the House in history, he was the Speaker of the House throughout the Bush years. He went to jail for things having to do with, I think he was paying hush money to athletes when he was either college or high school, like wrestling coach.
Yep.
And you would think that this would be prime for the Democrats to either throw in the Republicans' face, or when it comes to like any of this child issue goes, you guys are hypocrites. You took money from this guy. You voted for him to be speaker. You haven't denounced him. Like, who are the real sickos here? And you never hear them mention him. And that is very surprising to me. And that is something that also adds this theory that like there's a lot of people involved in this thing. And the other thing I said to you, and you agree with me completely, is Epstein's not like alone. He's not a unicorn.
Oh, no.
That's the thing that people need to understand.
Multiple players, multiple organizations, multiple ops running at the same time with a lot of really weird, strange stuff as well. I mean, Epstein had his hands almost everywhere in mainline society. He was working on a eugenics project where he was trying to impregnate 20 women at a time. He was working on creating a doll that had a camera in it that would like work as a surveillance.
Well, we have those
camera.
have exist already.
But for Epstein to be working on something
Oh,
like
sure,
that is
sure,
like
yeah,
a little bit more creepier.
Yeah.
He was working with a lot of different scientists and working with Bill Gates on multiple scientific projects that we still have no idea about anything about today. Eric Weinstein even came out and talked about how Epstein had a particular interest with anti-gravity research that he did at Harvard, because he had his own offices at Harvard, where his friend Larry Summers gave him carte blanche to do whatever he wanted to do.
Secretary of Treasury later became, right? Okay.
Yep. Well, Larry Summers is also closely connected to Epstein, and Epstein was able to do whatever he wanted to do. Still unknown scientific projects with Harvard, with Bill Gates, that we don't know anything about.
So there's a question I have, and maybe we don't know the answer. I've heard two different scenarios. One is that Epstein was like a pimp. He's procuring clients for these kids or for these clients. Yep. They pay him off. Everyone, does what they want. The other hypothesis I heard is that he is procuring young women, telling these people they're of age, secretly filming them. Then he's like, you just were with a 16-year-old. We have it on tape. Uh-oh. And then blackmailing them. Are those both true? One true, the other true? Do we know?
Well, the longer we go, because he was convicted as an S predator, and I think everyone kind of knew.
Okay.
So when you're hanging out with this S predator and he provides you someone that tells you that they're 18, you're going to be probably a lot smarter than that. So that might have happened in the 90s.
Okay.
But I think there's
the 90s? He's been at this for that long?
Yeah, he's been the witnesses came to the FBI in, I think it was, I need to double check my research, but I think it was either 1996 where the first children came to the FBI and said, there's this weird money guy that does all these really weird, horrible things, and the FBI ignored the victims. Then in the early 2000s,
do we know? Yeah. Do we know ostensibly why they ignored the victims? Their reason?
We don't know.
They don't have a claimed reason even.
We have no idea. Well, it's probably because he was working for
the
an aspect of intel.
Yeah.
Whether foreign intel, domestic intel,
right.
There was something that was going on that was probably an operation that they were told stand down.
Okay.
This is a guy that is going to be protected.
Okay. Yeah.
So then there were multiple articles that were being worked on. All of them nerfed. All of them spiked. All of them prevented from being ever released, with witnesses coming forward, pinpointing the Clintons, pinpointing a lot of very powerful people. And then the corporate media that had the story decided not to report on it. And they didn't. And they allowed this type of behavior to happen and continue. Now, my argument against Tim is that this type of behavior still is going on.
Yeah, no question. That's on dispute.
That's, and Tim's like, listen, we got to win the war, whatever it takes. And I'm like, I don't want to win this way. That's just me. I don't want to do disservice to his argument, because his argument is a little bit more complex.
Right, sure.
And a little bit more sophisticated than just that. And it's not just my kind of generalization. But for me, covering this issue for as long as I have, being called a crazy conspiracy theorist for covering it and detailing how this has happened for so many years, for so long, not just with Dennis Hassert. I remember talking about that when that story broke too. Jimmy Savile is another of rabbit hole that you go down, especially when it comes to the royal family. Joris Demming, another Joris.
Wait, let me hold on. You're going fast. So Jimmy Savile, people don't know, he was for decades a very popular children's TV show host, media personality, Uncle Jimmy. He was really kind of like, in retrospect, and he would make these very inappropriate jokes and comments, but because, he's almost like Pee Wee Herman if he was in his 50s, like he's this like man-child figure, and it's like, okay, and it was how many children? He was
a necrophiliac, so he was into some really weird, disgusting stuff. We don't know how many children, but
it's not two. Is my point. It was many over many decades, and no one believes. Like, oh, Jimmy, are you kidding me? What are you talking about, you crazy kids?
Yeah. And
the thing is, because before social media, if you're the victim and you think you're the only one, who's going to believe you?
Exactly.
Just like, I don't know how many of those Michael Jackson victims are victims, but as someone else pointed out, best case scenario, he's sleeping in the bed with you. So like, is that really that great?
It's still weird, especially when you have the wine and saying, yeah, come on in, let's have a sleepover. That's just weird.
So Jimmy, who's the other one you just mentioned?
Joris Demming.
Okay,
he was a part of the Dutch royal family and worked as kind of like their FBI head in the Netherlands, who also was a very prolific child herder as well that got away with it.
Hey, here's something disgusting, which is kind of appropriate to talk about because my show's so disgusting. Traditional bed sheets can hold more bacteria than a toilet seat. Not exactly what you want to lay your face on. So Miracle Made bedding is designed to help fight bacteria and stay cleaner longer with silver-infused fabrics that actually help prevent up to 99.7% of bacterial growth. These Miracle Made sheets are crafted with NASA-inspired fabrics that help regulate your body temperature all night long. Hot sleeper, cold sleeper, don't matter. These sheets help you keep in the comfort zone all night long. The comfort zone is also in the store where I buy my clothes, but that's neither here nor there. Thanks to Miracle Made's antibacterial silver technology, the sheets stay cleaner, fresher, up to 3 times longer than regular sheets. That means fewer odors, fewer wash cycles, and way less laundry. You know who I'm talking about. You're disgusting out there. This is for you. Listen up, guys. They feel just as good, if not better, than sheets you'd find at a 5-star hotel, but without the steep price tag. They're smooth, they're breathable, and they're ridiculously comfortable. All that hidden bacteria in regular sheets can clog your pores, cause breakouts. Miracle Made's antibacterial design helps you sleep cleaner and clearer night after night. Upgrade your sleep or give the gift of better rest. Go to trymiracle.com/malice to try Miracle Made sheets today. You'll save over 40%. Use promo code MALICE, another 20% off, and a free 3-piece towel set. They make an amazing gift for your disgusting friends, and with a 30-day money-back guarantee, there's no risk. Try miracle.com/malice, code MALICE at checkout, and you will be sleeping clean, healthy, and happy like you were meant to. And thank you to Miracle Made for making such great products and for sponsoring this episode. Folks, it starts big. One missed bill, one call you dodge. Suddenly credit card debt is the headline of your life. It doesn't fade with time, it builds. Louder, messier, harder to ignore. But here's the truth. Every storyline has a plot twist. And with PDS Debt, you can flip that script. They've already helped hundreds of thousands of people cut debt out of the plot and take control of their future. So if you're struggling with credit card debts, personal loans, medical bills, PDS Debt has custom options to help you get out of debt. They go beyond the numbers to understand your unique financial situation and craft a personalized plan designed just for you. No minimum credit score required. They're there to help you save more, pay off your debt faster, and start putting money back where it belongs, in your pocket. PDS Debt is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. It boasts thousands of 5-star reviews on Google. It holds a 5-star rating on Trustpilot. Why? Because PDS has helped hundreds of thousands of people get out of debt. I used to be in debt a long time ago. It is the worst because you can never stop thinking about it. It's always there. It's so frustrating and mind-numbing. Don't let debt keep running the show. You're 30 seconds away from being debt-free. Get your free assessment. Find the best option for you right now at pdsdebt.com/welcome. That's pdsdebt.com/welcome. pdsdebt.com/welcome. Let's get back to the show. So I asked this question to Jordan Peterson. I want to ask it of you. I don't know that you're going to have a good answer either. Not that his wasn't good, but I don't have a good answer. Jordan, I'm like, look, I can wrap my head around killing someone. I can wrap my head around armed robbery. I can wrap my head around forcibly myself on someone. I could get to that point. Killing your kid, I could understand that in a sense if someone's crazy. I don't get what motivates people like this. Like, what do you think is and Jordan said they are intentionally trying to do the most evil thing possible.
Yeah, I have to go and make a spiritual argument.
Okay.
Because I think
that's what he did. Yeah.
The only explanation is demonic possession.
Okay.
And just evil and trying to represent that in the most darkest, destructive ways. Taking the innocence of a child, I think, is the ultimate, most disgusting act you could ever commit in this world. And by doing it, you commit something that there's no ever going back from.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
So if you have that compromise on somebody, like this guy committed the ultimate disgusting act, you have leverage. You have control over them. No, and if you look at a lot of the kind of secret societies out there, they keep making people do weirder, stranger, more darker, more sinister type of stuff. And then it only escalates the higher you go, the more compromise, the more blackmail you have, the more you're able to, of course, control someone. And
that becomes your reality too.
Exactly.
It reminds me of, they made a remake of Lolita. There was a movie in this late 60s where she was actually played by like a 17. She did not look like a kid, but they remade it for HBO Showtime with Jeremy Irons. And I remember reading a review of it, and I was watching the film as well. There's a moment where she like jumps on him and he holds her up, and she smiles, and you see her braces. And like that's the moment when the reviewer was like, this is when you know how depraved it is, because that's such a symbol of, you could see someone who's like
innocence,
and like this is not a fully grown adult.
Yeah, and that's what Epstein was into. He was into
that's what I
women
was just
with
saying.
braces.
Yeah.
So
how do we know that?
I forgot exactly who leaked that information, but it was people, I think, that were part of the victims that came out and said that.
Let's talk about something else. So the jail footage, the camera that they released, right? Am I incorrect? So I had been of the hypothesis, based on very little, that it was not necessarily someone did this to him so much as he was allowed to do this to himself and told, listen, here's what you're going to do. Otherwise, such consequences. So there's only like a minute missing from the footage. It doesn't seem as if that's enough for someone to do that kind of deed. I think there is an autopsy, and I'm not know if it's reliable, but it did not seem like he was shot or anything like that. What do we know about that night when
So
Epstein
there's
passed?
multiple cameras, not just one, that malfunctioned.
Oh,
there are
multiple, really?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe it's either 6 or 9. I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay.
All of them malfunctioned. All of them very oddly just didn't work. There was another alleged attempt where he allegedly tried to take his own life, and then he was put into protective custody. His lawyer came out, and I know even from other kind of back channels. I think there's. I'll save the conversation for later, but a lot of people close to Epstein came out and said he wasn't an individual that would have taken his life. The first incident where it happened...
In their defense, we don't know what... If you're in jail facing this,
Yes.
who knows? That's different circumstance.
So the first incident that happened that put him on protective watch also is something that originally came out as, oh, he tried to take his own life. Then it came out that it was his cellmate that allegedly beat him up. What happened there? We don't know. The cameras also malfunctioned.
Wait,
It didn't work then. First attempt. Second attempt.
No, really?
Yes.
This is the
Multiple
official
attempts.
narrative.
This is the official narrative.
Okay.
According to Bill Barr, that personally reviewed it.
The Attorney General.
Whose father gave Epstein his start at the Dalton School.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So Bill Barr, the Attorney General under Trump, came to Epstein and said, give us dirt on Trump and we'll make all of your problems go away. Epstein said no. He didn't give him any dirt on Trump, according to Epstein's lawyer.
Wait, hold on. When did this supposedly happen?
When Epstein was apprehended.
When was this?
I believe it was 2000. What was it? 2000. What year was it? I have to look it up.
Was this during the Trump administration or before the Trump administration?
Whoa.
Okay.
Trump's own attorney general went to Epstein with the DOJ and said, give us dirt on Trump. We'll make your problems go away.
Hold on. Because you're saying sometimes when people say something to you, you think you're misunderstanding, because this is such a huge thing that I don't know how it hasn't crossed my desk. To reiterate what you just said to me, Trump's Attorney General, Bill Barr, the same man who also refused to let Ross out of jail, so F him, went to Epstein and said...
His DOJ.
His minions, went to Epstein. His DOJ, which works for the Trump administration, it's Trump's DOJ, although they're independent, let's be as fair as possible, and offered Epstein, you get to walk, just give us crap on Trump.
Exactly.
How do we know this?
This is Epstein's cellmate that came out and said this.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
So
and how was this not bigger news?
And then Epstein's lawyer came out, and this was my thing. I was like, Trump can't trust these guys. He needs to release everything. He shouldn't be protecting these guys. He's protecting Bill Barr. He's protecting Bill Clinton. He's protecting Reid Hoffman, Bill Gates, and all these other nefarious individuals. Vast majority of them big Democratic Party backers, financiers.
Who cares
Larry
what party
Summers.
they are? They're just bad people.
Exactly. Hold them accountable. Hold them responsible. That's not the only hole in the official version of events. Even under the autopsy, it came out that there was no way he was able to break his neck the way that he did if it was a hanging, right? So even multiple doctors and medical professionals came forward and says this is inconsistent of a hanging, the way his neck broke. So multiple doctors came out and said no way that happened. Now there's other like loose theories out there. I don't like playing. I have my own theories and beliefs. I don't like to just go off the theoretical, but that's what we know.
Okay.
For a fact, we know that the guards that night lied about what happened, and they were actually held accountable. And
what do you mean? What they say, and what was they caught saying?
They got caught falsifying the documents, and they were
caught by whom?
The correction system. they had charges pressed against them for falsifying documents, and then they got a slap on the wrist afterwards and weren't held accountable for it.
Wait, so what did they falsify the documents to say? Do you know?
I have to look at them exactly to give you a precise statement, but they were saying that they were checking in on him when they weren't. Stuff to that nature. To the exact nature of it, I would have to read through it because it's been a while.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
I should have came with my notes. You should have let me know we were doing Epstein. I would have came because I love my notes and I love doing my research.
So this would have been an ideal opportunity for them to have a scapegoat, right? Because you have these guards who are lying about what happened. It's like, oh, see, these guys covered it up. They're the villains. Throw them away. Clean hands. As soon as there's a scapegoat, everyone's attention goes somewhere else. And yet they did not have any big punishment. So they clearly, or the implication at least is implying that they were like, look, just fall on this sword. Everything will be fine.
Exactly.
Holy crap.
And they didn't even do that. That's the strange part of it all. Now, the footage that the FBI did release, first, we found out that there was a minute missing. Then some people came forward and told us that there was 3 minutes missing. Pam Bondi came out, said, oh, it was an old surveillance system. It was a glitch. A lot of surveillance experts came out, said there's no way that that's possible. And it looks like it was also just a screenshot, not the actual recording. We were promised the full unedited video. We never got it. We got an edited video. They released some of the edited video. It shows a guard kind of moving around. But what we're looking at is something that only shows you 10% of the staircase, a little bit, that led to Epstein's unit. We're not even seeing Epstein's unit. We're seeing a sliver of the staircase that leads to Epstein's unit because 6 to 9 cameras failed working that night in that unit, which is unprecedented.
And impossible.
Yeah.
I thought that little clip I saw was of his cell. Is that incorrect?
No, it's not. His cell is actually all the way in the other end of that cell block, and you only see a sliver of the staircase, and you see people walking around, which contradicts the statement. Nothing happened, nothing to see here. No one was there. But you see clearly people moving around, another contradiction from this DOJ that of course we weren't told the truth about. So it could have been someone walking on just that side of the staircase, went in and out, and then we still never got the full picture of anything that happened.
Here are 2 things that are incompatible to me, and hopefully you can provide some clarity. So if there is stuff in there that will screw up the Republicans and only screw up the Republicans, why did the Biden DOJ drop it, especially like in November of 2024?
Exactly. That's the point we made with Tim. Tim was like, no, it's a ace up their sleeves. I don't believe that. Because if they did, I mean, they were taking shots at him, 700 years in jail, convicted felon. I mean, they would have used it, in my opinion.
Right.
So I think that's one of the best, strongest arguments.
No, but then why? But
especially if they weaponized it, edited.
But then why are they? So why are they pushing for it so hard now? The Democrats in the House just because they know if Trump doesn't want to see it, there must be something there.
I think they see blood in the water. They see something that's very politically inconvenient. And they see a fight that's unfolding here, and they want to just hit Trump any way that they can. But this is the weird part. Trump's exonerated in a lot of this stuff. Trump's one of the few people that came to the victims' families, and when the lawyer representing them said, "Hey, can you help us out with some details and information?" Trump said yes. Right? Virginia Roberts Giuffre worked at Mar-a-Lago. Epstein poached her. Trump came out later saying, I disconnected from Epstein because he would poach my employees. One of those employees was Virginia Roberts Giuffre. She came out and said, yeah, Trump wasn't doing anything weird. She
used to work at Mar-a-Lago?
Yes. That's where, and Trump officially.
Wait, this is known? This is not?
Yes.
This isn't for Luke.
No, this is confirmed. So she was a masseuse at Mar-a-Lago. Epstein was going to Mar-a-Lago. According to Trump now, he cut ties with Epstein because he stole employees, including Virginia Roberts, from him from Mar-a-Lago. Yes. She came out and says Trump wasn't doing anything wrong. And she worked at Trump's house, right? So clearly, all the circumstantial evidence now proves that, and who knows what the actual evidence is, if it's fudged or not. If it's fudged, prove it and hold the people who fudged it accountable. Right? It's like, hey, this never happened. They're lying about it. Put them in jail.
But the question I have is, if this is something that's going to be advantageous for the the Biden people have seen the data.
Yeah, of course.
There's no question, right? So, and they're still behind the scenes with the Democratic Party now. Biden was never the guy. That's not in dispute. So if this was something that would have been disadvantageous to the Republicans, I think they would have leaked it,
100%.
easily.
Yeah, especially during the election cycle when they were throwing anything at the wall to try to get rid of Donald Trump.
But the question is then why aren't those people now telling the Democrats in the House, guys, simmer down, this is bad for us?
That's the big kind of quagmire question.
Okay, you agree with me. It doesn't add up.
It doesn't make sense.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Especially when you look at the big players, Bill Gates, Reid Hoffman, the big Democratic donors that are implicated here that clearly would be affected by this. So there's also other people that are on the right that would be affected by this. But who knows how far the rabbit hole kind of goes with Epstein, because we're talking about eugenics, we're talking about banking, we're talking about anti-gravity tech, we're talking about him launching security firms with the former prime minister of Israel. We're talking about all this weird stuff that we're trying to make sense of. And I think we only know about 5% of exactly what was going on here.
You think it's that little?
I think, yeah, absolutely that little. And I think it even gets more wilder and crazier than we could even potentially imagine.
You know what this kind of, when you say that, I'm sure some people are going to be like rolling their eyes, and I'll give a counter example. Here's a rabbit hole for you that's nothing to do with this, or maybe it does. You can tell me. Look up the Denver airport.
Yes, it's creepy. It's weird, yeah.
Right? So people listening to, okay, Denver airport, then you start looking at all the things. You're like, what the hell is going
weird,
on?
Yeah,
and it's all like on purpose and recent. It's like, what's the so there's so much here. It's just like, even if it's innocent, it's still crazy.
Exactly.
So tell me about the eugenics thing.
So, eugenics is a practice of curating the perfect kind of genes, and Epstein thought he had the best genes, and he came to a point where he wanted to repopulate his genes to the world.
Okay.
So he was actively working on, before his demise, before he was imprisoned and mysteriously disappeared or whatever happened to him, he was working on procuring 20 women to be at his Zorro Ranch in New Mexico, which was connected to Bill Richardson, another creep who went to Bohemian Grove
and Secretary of something under Clinton.
Yes, exactly. I confronted him about all the weird kind of occult stuff that he did at Bohemian Grove. He was sweating like a pig. It was crazy.
As a pig.
Yeah.
Not like a pig,
English is my second language. but Zorro Ranch was
me too, asshole.
Was being. I'm gonna fix you too. I'm gonna son of a bitch. I'll be a Hitler grammar Nazi. He was working on getting all these people at Zorro Ranch so he could impregnate all of them at once and have 20 babies at a time, and then expand that everywhere.
Okay. So how do we know this?
One of the women came forward, and then it was under the testimony that came forward regarding this. Yeah.
What happened to all those kids that went to the island? Do we know?
We don't know. We do know that he was flying 727s, which are airplanes that the CIA uses.
Aren't those
and
big?
Has used. Very big.
They're big. It's not just like a private
one of
jet.
The unique features of them is that they could open up the hatch in the back without having to decompress the aircraft. And that's why they're one of the favorite planes of the CIA that's able to throw things out or evidence out or things out of the plane when they're in the plane and destroy evidence that way too.
Or people, obviously.
Convenient, yeah.
Oh my God.
There's also a ton of missing children everywhere that never get found. I mean, there's a layer to how just sinister and evil this is that I think, a lot of it is left for us to kind of put the pieces together. But I think it's demonic. I think it's evil. I think it's literally people just worshiping freaking Satan, just being like, let's just see how awful, cruel, and evil I could be. That's an easy kind of generalization to make. But looking at it from a perspective where I even take a step back, I mean, there's a reason they believe in a lot of this kind of spiritual, weird kind of occult practices that they follow.
Guys, early this year, I went on a bulk. And I want to thank all the lovely fans out there for pointing out how fat and disgusting I look and how I look like shit. But now I'm leaning back out. And if you want to see how I look like lean, well, that's where sheath underwear comes in. So the first time I put on sheath underwear, this is way back in the Gas Digital days, I'm like, what the F is this crap? Because it's underwear with 2 pouches. Patented dual pouch technology, one part for one part of your male anatomy, one part for another part of your male anatomy. And you're putting your boys in there, you're like, I don't know about this. And I have worn sheath every single day since then. It's the only underwear I wear because it is so damn comfortable. And try it out. At first, you'll be like, okay, Malice is crazy. No one's disputing that. But I'm not wrong, that sheath is the most comfortable underwear you're ever going to wear in your life. And I got to tell you, there's something really fun about being on an interview, being on a date, and knowing your underwear is grabbing your junk in two different ways. And you're sitting there like totally normally, but you're thinking to yourself, if only they knew. Well, you know right now that I'm wearing sheath all the time, even in the shower. No, okay, not in the shower. I don't shower. So if you go to sheathunderwear.com, use promo code Malice, you get 20% off. They also have cool t-shirts. I wear the t-shirts to the gym. They've got new materials like bamboo. It sounds crazy, but it's actually softer than other stuff. Go to sheathunderwear.com, use promo code Malice. You get 20% off your order, and you'll see why it is something I have worn every day for years. Thank you, Sheath, for being such a longtime sponsor and having me in your ads. Folks, there is one and only one product that I was happy to do a sponsored episode with, because that's how much I believe in what they're producing, and that's Just Thrive Probiotics. So probiotics, if you've had stomach issues, I struggled with them for a long time. I had a friend who had Crohn's, coworker. I wouldn't call him a friend. And he said, just try this. And I did, and my issues were resolved very quickly. And I had thought this is how I'm going to be for the rest of my life. I just have issues with digestion. If this sounds similar to what you're going through, please, I'm begging you, go to justthrivehealth.com, use promo code WELCOME, and you get 20% off risk-free. If you don't like it, full product refund. I'm telling you, stomach issues are something that affect every aspect of your life, and you don't know what it's like to feel normal. And now I can eat whatever I want and still maintain my underwear physique at the best of times, not always. They also have a new product called Just Thrive Digestive Bitters. And these are capsules that have 12 bitter herbs, which are clinically proven to wake up your digestive system so you don't have any bloat, burps, and comfortable digestion like when you're younger. So if you're interested in their digestive bitters, in their probiotics, and some of their other great products, I love this company. I use this company. Go to justthrivehealth.com. Use promo code WELCOME. You get 20% off. Your health is worth it. Being able to have a good relationship with food is such an important thing, and I'm so grateful that I found probiotics when I did. I wonder whatever happened to that guy. I'm sure he's fine. Anyway, justthrivehealth.com, promo code WELCOME, 20% off. And thank you, Just Thrive, for all the great work that you do and for sponsoring this episode. Let's get back to the show. So tell me about Bill Richardson, who also, so he, by the way, for people who don't know, in 2016, he also ran for president. That was when Hillary and Barack Obama were going toe to toe. He dropped out. Bill Clinton tried to schmooze him. He ended up endorsing Obama. He said this was like a once-in-a-lifetime thing. I'm sorry. And Bill Clinton never spoke to him again.
Yeah. Major connections to Epstein, Zorro Ranch, and the Bohemian Grove. It was the Zorro estate that actually won the lottery after Epstein got officially convicted of being an S-predator. And then he got millions of dollars from this lottery that just happened to award his ranch and him all this money.
Wait, Bill Richardson?
No,
the owners
Epstein.
Okay. Wait,
Epstein won. Epstein's estate won the lottery. Yes, yeah, and that's why many people believe.
Stop. Yeah. Wait. You're telling me that I could look this right now?
Yeah.
Jeffrey Epstein's estate won a lottery.
Yes, the New Mexico estate.
I'm looking at this right now because of all the things. This is you're blowing my mind. I'm not going to lie. So tell me about the Bill Richardson stuff.
So Bill Richardson was running for the presidency. I was still doing a lot of my confrontations. Bill Richardson was there. I knew he was a confirmed guest at the Bohemian Grove. Bohemian Grove is literally where they do mock child sacrifices, and it's kind of their kind of a cult meeting. What are you reading there? What are you finding out? You should have told me. I would have came with my notes and really blown your mind away because I wasn't prepared to talk about this at all.
I whenever people say, I'm like, let's just double check it, right? Like maybe you're twisting the facts or something. Okay,
go ahead.
These are the reasons. No, I'm just shocked that it's so exactly what you said. That's why I want to be like, nope, he's underselling it.
That's why a lot of people believe the lotteries are rigged by the intel agencies to pay off their assets.
It'd be very easy to do.
Exactly.
So here, this is what's amazing about the AI. When it says like, no, but yes.
Yeah.
So it goes, I just Googled Jeffrey Epstein lottery ticket. And the AI very helpfully tells me, sorry, no, Jeffrey Epstein did not win a lottery ticket, which we did not in dispute. Speculation that he did arose from a coincidence in 2008 involving a trust with a similar name to one of his. And here's what happened. In 2008, an anonymous woman claimed an $85 million Powerball jackpot through an entity called Zorro Trust.
Exactly.
First of all, who has ever on earth, anywhere in life, buy a lottery ticket in the name of trust?
Exactly.
That's not a thing.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, Jeffrey Epstein also used a trust named Zorro Trust for financial dealings, including donations in New Mexico, where he owned a property called Zorro Ranch. The similarity in names and the timing of the lottery win led to conspiracy theorists suggesting a connection.
Huh.
What are the odds? I mean,
that he uses the same trust.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
After investigating, the Oklahoma newspaper confirmed that the lottery-winning Zorro Trust belonged to the woman Altus, not Epstein. I've never heard anyone ever buying a ticket in the name of a trust.
Exactly. Yeah. Lots of strange stuff. That
Wait, so then Bill Richardson stuff, I'm sorry. So
Bill Richardson was the head guy in New Mexico. If you look at Zorro Ranch, you needed a helicopter to get in there.
Okay.
You couldn't drive in there. And that's where a lot of the people believe a lot of the really weird, sinister stuff happened. But the FBI never even raided Zorro Ranch. The FBI never even fully looked into all of Epstein's properties, and he had multiple ones all over the world.
Of course,
yeah, secret billionaire that no one knows where he got his money from.
Right, because I think it was a Vanity Fair piece when this story started percolating several years ago, where they're like, we haven't been able to find one person who's traded with him.
Exactly. And they were looking into how did he get his money, and people were like, "Oh, Wall Street. What do you mean by Wall Street? What do you do?
Just say Wall Street.
What do you do on Wall Street? Was he a trader?" And all the traders were like, "I don't know who this guy is. We have no idea." So where did he get his money?
No. Not only do they say we don't know who this guy is, it's we would know.
Yeah.
Because the world is very small. At a certain point, you at least know. Like you and I, if there's a podcast who's somewhat prominent between you and me and Tim, one of us would have heard of them.
Exactly. So there's so many things that we just don't know. And we're left to speculate.
Tell me about when you interrogated Bill Richardson.
Oh, that was
kidding?
Fun because this was during the election cycle.
Yeah,
he's running for the presidency of the United States, and he's doing a media scrum where he's there taking questions from all the journalists and reporters. And I'm like, this is easy pickings. This is going to be great. This is going to be awesome. And then you can see the video on my YouTube channel on We Are Change. I'm like, hey, can you tell us what happened at this Bohemian Grove club? And he's just like, I'm not talking about that. And then I was like, I let on. I'm very persistent. I'm Slavic. I don't know when to say.
Yeah.
Like, stop pushing it. And I just kept pushing it, and I kept pushing it. You just keep sweating.
The same question over and over.
I was like, were you there for the mock child sacrifices, or what about the men workers of the night that get imported there, according to the New York Times? No, New York Post. Apologies.
The New York Post.
The New York Post reported that male escorts get shipped into the Bohemian Grove.
Okay.
So whatever.
Fine, who cares?
But like if you're running as like a politician, it's like, oh yeah, you're going to the place where Bill Clinton even said, this is where politicians go in robes and hump trees naked. So lots of weird stuff happens.
Can you tell? We're gonna have to bleep the word, but you know what Richard Nixon said about Bohemian Grove, right?
Yes, it's the most F-itty.
Let's say it. We'll bleep it.
Gosh darn place in the world. Yeah. In the nicest of ways. But this is the kind of like weird.
So he just clearly got nervous and he just ignored you.
It was the most uncomfortable, weirdest moment because he clearly like heard it and listened, and then was just sweating, and then tried to avoid it as much as he could. And then all the reporters even just let me speak to him, and then it was just you gotta watch the video.
I will, but then he just walks away.
No, he has to stand there, and I'm standing there right in front of him like this. And I'm like, okay, now about the Bohemian Grove. Like, and I'm like, all right, let's talk about the rituals. Let's talk about Moloch. Do you worship Moloch, sir? And he has to stand there in this media scruff.
So how did it end?
Great. He eventually left.
Were you the last one to talk to him?
No, I kept asking him.
Right.
There's a bunch of reporters when this stuff happens, but it was one of the events that I think multiple events, because we used to do these confrontations all the time, and it was fun. So
the argument you had with Tim, and I think I understand Tim's position, although I don't necessarily agree with it. Tim is like, look, we have a culture war at stake. The Democrats and or the left, I don't know how he would characterize it, want to destroy America and trans everyone's kids and so on and so forth. This Epstein stuff isn't that bad, or all this. Again, I'm trying to put words to his mouth.
It's very difficult because he speaks very fast.
Yes, and loudly.
Yeah.
And I don't have a beanie on, and the stuff's been destroyed anyway. You're basically overturning, if you had your way, any chance Trump would have to put a stop for this once and for all. If they had their druthers, and this part I think is true, Trump will be gone, and you'd have a Marco Rubio, and there's no way, or type, there's no way Marco Rubio is going to be able to do anything or even wants to. So you're really kind of upsetting the apple cart, and we're not even going to get any applesauce as a result of it. I think that's his position. Or something analogous to that.
Yes, it's very hard to make his kind
Sure.
of argument because he, has his own opinion, and
Sure.
I don't want to be more fair to him, and I want
But
him to
let's
be
just
in the room.
pretend I'm
Yeah.
saying that. Okay, so what would be your response to that?
I think this is a far bigger deal than a lot of people realize. It's on a lot of people's minds.
Yeah.
And I think he's creating a lot of political damage to himself.
Trump.
And it's eventually going to be pushed, whether by this administration or the next administration, to the point where it's just extremely uncomfortable. He's giving the Democrats a lot of political victories, and he's giving the Democrats an easy way to hit him and strike him, and there's no way to respond because he keeps telling people to not talk about it. So, I mean, even Charlie Kirk was told. I was told to,
Slug your roll.
Yeah.
So there's a theory. I had Owen Schroyer on the show a few weeks ago. He and I were like, something's not adding up. And there was a Scott Adams theory, which is Scott Adams I think is a very brilliant strategist. And he's like, what if Trump is using this to blackmail his opponents to do what he wants?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that idea?
That's what Alex Jones said.
Oh, Alex said it too? Okay.
And Alex said that he feels sick to his stomach knowing that because he's officially a part of the cover-up of children being hurt here for political power.
He who? Trump or Alex?
Trump.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and Trump was saying, Alex was saying that he doesn't like this and it makes him sick to his stomach. And obviously it should make anyone sick
of
to their stomachs because now you're just officially a part of the cover-up. And when you're doing that, you're a part of a cover-up of something very sinister and very evil. And I think, there's a conversation to be had about morals. There's a conversation to be had about just how far you're willing to take it. Some people say, take it as far as you can, just win the political battle. I'm saying, I think there's more to this, and that's their kind of explanation. My own theory, if you have to force me to tell you what I think is going on here, I think the intel agencies came to Trump and said, "You're not doing this. We're not going to allow you to do this.
You've got several kids.
Yeah,
you're not going to. Yeah.
Do you want us to take you out again, or like try to take you out, something like that, to that accord?
Something that doesn't make sense to me is if I'm Dan Bongino, if I'm Kash Patel, Dan certainly doesn't need that job. That wasn't his lifelong dream.
He was making way more money before.
Of course. Yeah. If I had to sell it, given everything I just said last previous years to America, I think I would have done a better job doing it than they were. They're not dumb men.
Yeah.
So the fact that they went on TV and they're like, "Oh, everything is fine," that doesn't add up in any scenario for me. What do you think of that?
Especially with their hostage
type
of Fox News interviews,
right?
Where they're
so
kind of just sitting there, almost like an ISIS interrogation video,
right. And
it's like,
think that's them winking at us. What do you make of it?
I find it very strange,
and
very weird, and obviously we had Kash Patel and Bongino promise a lot of this stuff, and they haven't delivered. I think there's back channeling where they're getting orders either from Pam Bondi or Trump saying you can't, you're not going to do it, and you're now going to tell people this. If you want to do X, you have to do Y. And I think they were sat down saying, look, we could either get 90% done, or you could have your little, project here. And I think that's the conversation that kind of took place here. And I feel, at first, a lot of people are angry at them. I kind of feel kind of bad for this type of situation because I know how much they were talking about this issue beforehand. And now to be officially the person to fall on the sword of this seems very wild.
And I don't think they're weak men.
They're not.
So people are like, "Oh, they're cowards." Like, they have data you don't.
Yes. So it feels extremely just wild to be in this sort of situation where you're watching these videos and all of them just go bad. All of them, people know it's obvious, and they're kind of like sitting there like, I want to know what's really going on. From what I'm hearing, they're getting a lot of pushback. They're told do this, and they're doing it. For what reasons, I do not know, but it's a tough situation that they're in.
Folks, head over to malice.locals.com or Luke answer questions from supporting listeners. Luke, we're running out of time. What has been your favorite part of this interview?
The whole Epstein stuff. I mean, it's a dark topic to talk about. Yeah. It's kind of difficult to talk about it especially, because I like to come prepared. I want to have my notes, so I apologize. I might have gotten some things wrong, but I enjoyed the kind of beginning conversations where we're just riffing. That was really fun. I really enjoyed that.
You are welcome.
Hey, it's James Altucher. I've been an entrepreneur, investor, best-selling writer, stand-up comic, and whatever it is I'm interested in, I get obsessed. Yes, it's led to success, but it's also led to such heartbreaking failure. I have failed more times than I can count. I wish in my life I had had people to talk to. That's why I started the James Altucher Show and bring on some of the most brilliant minds in every area of life. People like Richard Branson, Sarah Blakely, Mark Cuban, Danica Patrick, Gary Kasparov, and I wanted to find out exactly how they've navigated the highs, the lows, and everything in between. No fluff, just raw stories and real advice. I've talked to 1,500 of the most amazing people on the planet. So if you want to learn from the best and skip the same old canned interviews, we're all about helping you find your next big idea, level up your thinking, and ultimately to choose yourself. So let's do this together. Subscribe now to The James Altucher Show.
This October, Fear is free on Pluto TV with horror movie collections from Paranormal Activity, The Ring,
You will die in 7 days.
Scream, and From Dusk Till Dawn.
This is my kind of place.
And don't miss the man-made nightmares in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein or the world-ending chaos in 28 Days Later.
There's something in the blood.
All the scares, all for free. Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.